bottom left.
Today I want to go through a couple of things, a little bit of an update of where I'm at with the long shot, or the loading on for the 5,000 plus shot, where essentially I've come to a point where I've got myself some of these 375 cal 350 grain Sierra Match Kings, which I managed to find some in the country. Got some coming from the USA, but that's going to take a while. But we've found some in the country, so we've got some of those, and I've just loaded them up into these. So I've got 25 ready to go as soon as I can. A little bit of the logic of where I've been through, for those people who aren't aware, is essentially I've started this whole process, this rifle, I started shooting in a format that was to shoot 4Ks, and I went a little bit away from the logic that I thought would be right, which was not too heavy a twist in the 9 or 10-to-1 twist, running a heavy lead core bullet. I went with instead a gain twist barrel down at 7.5-to-1 to shoot these 427 grain bullets. So these are the ones on the end, the large one. That didn't work at 4Ks for me. Went through a fair bit of testing. We ended up shooting these middle ones, which are the 350 grain monolithic Shi-Tac bullet. So both these end two, the larger ones, are both solid copper, machined solid copper. And that worked quite well. We found a little bit of inconsistency, but that worked quite well, and we actually got that down to a nice small group and got our hit. The next time this year, when we started at 5Ks, our first attempt was with those bullets. We'd come back to a different barrel, 1 in 9 twist, and on the first time out it shot really nicely. It seemed to go pretty well. We started to get a bit of consistency. It looked pretty good. We didn't really get a crack at getting onto target. It was more testing. The next couple of times out it was just erratic and we couldn't make anything really work. I went with, okay, maybe I'm not spinning them fast enough, and went back to the gain twist barrel, but a 1 in 7 twist, 1 in 7.5. And that started to give us some consistency, but what we found was with just slight changes in pressure, a little bit more pressure, a little less temperature, the bullets weren't ending up in a consistent form. So with that, struggling with the amount of energy we had out there, the amount of dust, the vision, cloudy conditions, dirty air conditions, we've had to wait a little bit, but it also let me do some testing. What I had seen was with a lead core bullet in my lower cals, my 338 and 7mm and 300 Win mag, I'd actually retested that and found how efficient those lead core bullets became way out there. So ridiculous distances, 3,850 yards for the 7mm and the 300 Win mag, still had a fair bit of consistency and were starting to pick back up, be more efficient out that part of the range. 4,000 yards with the 338, same sort of deal. We're in moderate wind and we were able to hold down a pretty good group. Quite different to how the monolithics are behaving. Now I don't have, and because of the nature of these bullets, or what I'm finding with them, is that essentially for ultra long range I get the feeling at least that I need to spin the monolithics faster still, even more faster than what makes them make them stable in supersonic range. And these are in our conditions. A little bit vice versa for the lead core. I can go with a minimum twist for them and they're still working out there in the subsonic ranges. Now my feeling is it's about the mass, the weight versus the area. The other feature I would point out, one of the things I think that is causing me quite a big issue, is that I'm shooting around 1,000 feet above sea level. I would say because when we get a little bit less pressure, we find some stability with these 350 grain Shi-Tac bullets with just a little bit less pressure. It tends to suggest to me that if I was up at 2,000 or 2,500, maybe 3,000 feet above sea level, I wouldn't have any of those issues. That would be less pressure, less air density, and have no problems at all. And probably if I was up at the 3,000 to 4,000, then these 427s, 425s and 427s, a couple of different choices in the cutting edge bullet, would have been fine also with the barrel that I'm running. And that also means going further, 5,000, 6,000 feet, effectively most people realise you've got less air pressure, so apart from the fact your target is still smaller because it's a long way away, you are actually effectively shortening your shot. There's less air to go through, there's less, the wind's going to affect, there's less everything, less conditions you're dealing with, and I would also say very thoroughly that these monolithic bullets are going to be less affected. But our shot is not about what it would take, where we're going to move to, how we're going to do it, how big a target, or any of those sort of things to get the shot done. Our project, our challenge for ourselves is to get the shot done in our conditions. 24-inch plate, two-person teams, shooter and spotter, no electronic assistance, get the thing done in actually being able to shoot and get it done in a moderate amount of shots, so we actually get an effectively small group enough to be able to get that on target. Whether that's achievable or not, we'll see, but that's our process. Another thing I should say, if you look here, you'll see I've actually got these, I've actually reset all my brass, so I've been through, they've been re-annealed. I don't do much annealing, but I did do a full size trim, everything, and annealed it and got it ready to go with this new brass, so I'm starting from fresh. I have 25 rounds there, I've got another 25 rounds that are ready to do that once I work out if that's all working and that side of things, but I've been through and done that. So we are ready, waiting for the weather. We've got cyclone coming through this week, so it's probably still a couple of weeks, but hopefully that gives us our flush out in our weather and gets us to where we can get back onto it. There's two other things that I wanted to raise in this video. One was Coriolis and one was spotter calls. The first one, Coriolis, do we use it? Do we factor it in? Yes, we do. But I'd go through a couple of details there. Yes, I do believe in Coriolis. I do believe the Earth is a sphere, and it's a rotating sphere, and then the basic maths of something moving over the surface of a sphere or going higher than the surface of the sphere and shooting in different directions means that there is Coriolis mathematically to allow for. But that being said, it is not a random force. It is not a force that causes bullets to go off randomly and you have to allow for it every shot. It is a constant force. Along with spin drift, it's a constant correction that will always be there. So once you have corrected for it, once you've figured out what it is, and you've seen an impact, then you're working with your impact. You no longer need to worry about it. I mean, in truth, the percentage of Coriolis versus pretty much anything else, it's really not something to trouble yourself with at all. The only place I use it is I use it to factor into my data, so my data is trying to be as accurate, I'm recording as accurate as possible. But in percentage or in numbers, where you have 1 or 1.5 MOA of Coriolis, you'll probably have 4 to 7 MOA of spin, and you'll probably have from 20 to 50 minutes of wind. So it's a very small thing that the wind can cancel out very easily, air pressure can cancel out, it gets cancelled out very, very easily, so it's not something to put a lot of fuss in. The next thing I talk about is spotter calls, or how we do our calls. In my way of doing the job, the spotter and shooter, it's a very, we need very good communication. We need a good relationship. We need to get on and make that job happen with us both doing our job thoroughly. I tend to come from the side, I come from the thought of the fact that the corrections should be done by the shooter. They shouldn't be called by the spotter. Now, I'm not going to say anyone else is doing it wrong. This is much what I say about what we do, and this is the reason for it. The logic for that is that the only person that knows what happened in the shot is the shooter. So the spotter, when a spotter is calling shoot, hold to the left or a full measure to the right or where it is, they're making a call to that. They're allowing for what they saw, the impact, and to correct onto target. Which, if it's interpreted correctly, that works fine. I tend to prefer that I just want to know where that hit was, because to me the shooter is the only person that knows what actually happens. They know how the gun behaved, they know how their trigger brake went, they know where they were trending, they know what actually happened on that trigger pull, so that impact may be in reference to what they saw as well as the actual impact. And for something like me, I'm especially in ultra long range, may have 3 to 4 to 5 to 10 shots in my head of working out a pattern and a flow, plus knowing what I did with the shot, plus keeping up with my barrel temperature is, keeping up with what's going on everywhere else, where I'm trying to make sure of where I put the next shot. So I'm the only one that knows that, but I want to know where the impact is. I can't always see them, especially in ultra long range. And my spotter's doing a lot more than just calling that impact. Sam is doing a job of overseeing everything, so keeping an eye on things. We obviously have cameras run generally, so trying to keep an eye on that sort of stuff. Keeping an eye on with what weather's doing, the weather changing, that side of things, but also keeping an eye on movement out there. We shoot in a secure setup, but there's no such, in ultra long range, there's no such thing as really secure. There's still vehicle movement that can happen that isn't supposed to be in there, from animal, vegetable, mineral. There's all sorts of things that are going on out there, and her job is to keep an eye on that side of things. To spot, she's counting all the time to actually work out when the bullet should impact, to try and find those impacts, especially when we're trying to work a shot out. There's a lot of work trying to spot that stuff. And people looking at the videos, in hindsight, is spotted in a nice comfort zone of the lounge room, looking at the screen and can see that sort of stuff. Yes, I get it. In actual fact, when you're out there dealing with the conditions, dealing with how far zoomed in or zoomed out, or all the other things, there's a lot of work going on. So in our system, spotter is making a call. We don't use an MOA reticle. We don't have anything. It's a clean reticle. We don't want anything in the road of it. And we use a reference to be able to get onto target. That means that in most cases that's target, so that'll be 4 targets right, 1 target low, or wherever it is, using the targets. It can be not as accurate when it's a long way away, trying to quickly assess how far away that is, but it works fine. As we're getting closer, it gets very accurate, and then we're actually making calls from the edge of target or from the center target to get it in there. But it is simply a reference that we use, and my comment would be communication is it, and very important, and making that strong. I tend to prefer less information when it's getting fairly intense. More information, more there can help to make decisions, but it can also, more noise, more talking, more stuff to take in, gives you less time to think about things between your shots. So it's all irrelevant. It's definitely a balance of things, but communication is super strong. So yes, the answer is yes, I do use Coriolis, but don't sweat it. It's not a big deal. If you ignore it, it's really not doing very much, and it's certainly, once you've seen your first impact, it's not relevant. And as for our spotter calls, the way we do it, we don't use MOA calls, we don't use mill calls. We do it the way we do it, with a clean reticle, and I'm doing the maths, the working out. Sam's job is doing the impact, so we can see where it actually hit, so she can transfer that to me as accurately as possible. Anyway guys, that's about what I can tell you. We're hopefully, with these fellas here, the weather comes up and then we're ready again. We've got some rounds here so we can try that, and really it's my theories, but it comes back to where I came from, and now I've got that 9-1 twist barrel. I can actually run these lead core bullets, which was a handicap I couldn't do last year with the 1 7.5 twist. Now I can run them, and hopefully they work as well as I think they're going to work. But anyway, we'll get out there as soon as we can. We've got lots of other things coming. So yeah, thanks for checking us out, and we'll catch you next time.